Hey everyone, so we are three RCSI student ambassadors, and we saw that people had questions about the pharmacy program on Instagram, and so we're just here to answer some of your questions. I'm Tamayan, I'm a final year pharmacy student.
I'm Sean, I'm a second year pharmacy student.
And I'm Lorna, I'm also a second year pharmacy student.
Okay, so we can start with the first question, which is, are you happy you chose pharmacy?
I definitely am. Yeah, I feel like I didn't really know what I wanted to do after school. I had like a whole crazy list of things on my CAO, like from languages to law to like psychology. And I took a year out and then I kind of found that I really wanted to do something in healthcare because it's just like a balance of working with people and then also like having that like science aspect to your life as well. So I just found for me it like is a nice balance between like two sides of myself that I like.
Yeah, anything to add, Sean? Or you feel
No,
like
I'm the same. Like, it was kind of the CEO route. I knew science was the kind of where like one of the branches I wanted to go off in, and then I just like getting into pharmacy and kind of continuing down now in year two. Like, I don't have any regrets in picking it, and I'm like, I really do enjoy every day that I'm in this college.
Yeah, I'd say after 4 almost 5 years of being in this course, it took me a bit of time to feel confident in my answer of like, yes, I'm happy I chose pharmacy. Mm-hmm. But I also think it's just the individual experience, kind of similar to both of you. I knew I wanted a science route, a healthcare route, but I wasn't always so sure about whether pharmacy was for me. But now, after going through the course, I'm like, yeah, I have no regrets. Next question, why should I put RCSI down, trying to decide between different pharmacy degrees? So pharmacy in comparison to other degrees. So at least for me, when applying, I was looking at RCSI and Trinity. And at least at the time I was applying, from what I had heard, the Trinity course isn't as clinically focused as the RCSI one. There's a lot of practical elements to the RCSI course that when speaking to current Trinity students or former pharmacy Trinity students, they don't really have the same teachings. And I mean, there's pros and cons to both, but I found that the teaching style at RCSI has been really applicable in like the real world setting. And so I think that's a huge consideration when it comes to like what pharmacy course to choose between.
Yeah, and I was the same. Like, I kind of was between Trinity and RCSI as well. I did have Cork down, but it was more so just because I'm from Dublin, so just getting to Cork, there would have been accommodation and that involved, so I more so narrowed it down to both Trinity and RCSI. And then my reason kind of for putting RCSI above Trinity was mainly just due to the facilities in this college and the locality as well. Like, it was closer to me, and just it's a more healthcare focused college as a whole. So I knew like I'd be spending my day like with those in medicine and with like those who are kind of studying similar things to me, and who ultimately, like when I am a pharmacist, I will be working closely with. And then just in terms of facilities, like the library, the gym, and just like the common areas, they just appeal to me more than other pharmacy schools did.
I suppose my reason is a little bit different. I didn't actually do chemistry for my Leaving Cert, so one of the great things about RCSI is like you don't actually have to do it to get in. So I thought my options would have been so limited, and obviously it did kind of rule out a few colleges for me personally, but I am really happy because we did start from the basics again, so I feel like I got an opportunity to kind of catch up. And as well, I think it's really important that, you know, some courses, like when there is a possibility to like allow you to do without having to do it for your Leaving Cert, it's really great to kind of be able to have that opportunity after.
Okay. Let's see. What would you have liked to know about the program before starting?
I think how close everything is. Like,
Yeah.
We're literally on St. Stephen's Green,
Yeah.
and I feel like you don't realise how much is around until you're here and you're literally like, oh, I need to go get something, and I'm like, I can just go to Zara, it's 5 minutes away.
Literally.
It's so
yeah.
good.
It's always like with the free time that you could have during the course, it's always nice to just like avail of the resources in your area, like have a little shop, like go for a cute brunch, like you can do those things. It's all about balance overall. So is the MPharm program very science heavy? When you start off, yes, especially just because in order to practice, you have to understand theory, and also in order to make sure that everyone understands and kind of everyone's on the same page, like they go back to the basics and they kind of just go through everything in terms of chemistry and chemical structures. Biology, I don't think they go so basic, but it's because you're kind of expected to have that knowledge, just like the very, very basic knowledge going in. And even so, like that's something very easy to learn. And yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, I think it is a science degree at the end of the day. You just kind of get that professional side with it as well too, so it is kind of like putting the two together in order to kind of come out as like a pharmacist at the end. You do need the science background, but it is, if you are thinking in the direction of pharmacy, I don't think it's something that would be like completely like really difficult for you, especially if you're interested in science already.
Especially because having done like kind of the main two sciences they focus on in pharmacy would probably be your biology and your chemistry, and having sat kind of like the Leaving Cert course equipped for them, and they really do teach everything that's kind of taught through the Leaving Cert is retaught on the program, so there isn't need to be a fear of, if you don't do one of the subjects, like will you be able to understand the concepts. The answer is yes, because they really do teach it from a ground level for every student to have that on the same page.
Yeah. Okay. What are the facilities like at RCSI as a pharmacy student?
Yeah, I guess like the facilities, I guess obviously all courses would share like your lecture theatres, your common areas like your canteen, your library, your gym, those kind of things. I guess more so for on this pharmacy specific side, we'd have the dispensing lab, which kind of be more so for the pharmacy students. It would have like your OTC counter, it has your dispensing software, it has all your medications to dispense, and that's like where you'd have your dispensing labs where like you get your prescription and you're going to dispense medication and then like kind of counsel one of the teacher practitioners. And then as well, kind of more so for the sciencey lab aspects, there is a pharmaceutics lab that's like your normal science lab where you're going to do your microbiology, kind of your basic biology, and then your pharmaceutics labs. And then as well, you have your chemistry lab where all your chemistry practicals will happen throughout the years of the course.
Yeah, lots of facilities.
Yeah.
Look brand new too, or
Yes.
recently upgraded.
Yeah.
Really nice, and a new building coming as well.
Yeah, stay tuned. Hardest part of the course?
I think it's kind of like subjective in terms of what people find the hardest. Like I knew for me, the bit I found the hardest was kind of like the microbiology aspect, where I know other people kind of, some struggled with like the pharmacology, some struggled with the chemistry, but it kind of is like a person by person basis of what they struggle with. But like what you may be struggling with, another person may have a love for and maybe like getting a great grasp of. So you always kind of have that student community who, if you are struggling with something, even your own lecturers and the people who run them, they can also kind of explain it to you if you ever are struggling. Like there's never a fear if you're not getting something, because there always is someone there to reach out to kind of explain it to you that bit more.
Yeah, I think the support is really, really good in the college, and as well, like, there are things that everyone's going to find difficult within every single module, and sometimes it's just taking a little bit of extra time to like sit down with someone who knows it better, and being able to, like Sean said, like have someone who's going to be able to teach it to you, even if it's a fellow student, because they're also happy to do it because they're going to be kind of further enhancing their learning, and as well, even it's great to kind of practice your communication skills, which is really important as a pharmacist.
Yeah, I think you guys summed that up really well. Are lectures manageable? As someone who has not been in lectures for, actually it was literally last semester, what am I talking about? I'd say lectures can be manageable. I think it really depends on the schedule for the week, because it does vary week to week. No week is really identical to the next, but it also depends on your own interest and what you're involved in. I think if you are heavily involved in student life, it can feel like it's not as manageable, but I think at a baseline, it is manageable, especially if you kind of work with your friends, work with your classmates, kind of figure out a plan for getting through all the lectures together. It can be quite manageable.
Yeah. I think if you've gotten through secondary school, if you're doing the Leaving Cert or like equivalent, like you can manage it 100%.
Okay. Do you get any days off?
I guess like since like as Tamaine was saying, kind of the timetable does fluctuate on a week-to-week basis. So obviously one Monday you could be in your full day, the next Monday you could be off, you could have 2 lectures, you could have 7. It just depends on what you're coming into. So kind of you do get the odd day off, probably one day off every 1 to 2 months, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously other times you're gonna have like a morning off, you're gonna have an evening off, you're gonna have like gaps between certain things. But obviously since the college is like, it's so compact, everything is so accessible, kind of the time in between things, like it fills up, you have so much to avail of and so much to do. So yeah.
Very good. So what would you do if you didn't do pharmacy?
Oh my god, I actually have no idea. I don't know where I'd be. I think I probably would be doing something maybe in psychology. That's a field that really interests me. I know it is quite a long path, so I don't know if I'd actually have the discipline to like stick it out for that long. Either probably psychology or like languages. I really love languages.
And for me, like I guess kind of the whole way through secondary school, I was battling between like, either wanting to go into healthcare or wanting to go something on the more art route, because they were like my two favorite things to do. And then ultimately, I know it was, in terms of healthcare, it was kind of between the pharmacy and radiography was up there as well for me. And then kind of in the art thing, I was going more towards art teaching at a secondary school level. But like ultimately in the end, I went for pharmacy, and I don't regret it.
And if I didn't do pharmacy, I think I'd probably do something involved with music or performing arts, because similar to you, like my two favorite things were like science and like musical theater, dance, choir, things like that. I don't think I ended up, I think when it came closer to like applying for programs and stuff, I think I had to step away from it and just decide to go the full science route, but I think that's where I would be if I wasn't here. What is first year like?
Oh my god, it feels like so long ago. I'd say that's so hard for you to remember as well, Smaine, but like even like it feels like years ago.
Yeah.
I think it is definitely different, especially semester one. You're kind of doing more of like an overview of a lot of different sciences. Like you do like an overview of like some biology, you do like start from the start with chemistry, you do anatomy, you do physiology, loads of different things, and it kind of does feel like there is a lot happening, and as much as you're not going into too much depth in any of the modules, there is a lot going on, so it is kind of like that moment where you're trying to like find your feet and trying to like figure out what's going on. But I think past semester one you kind of start into your systems-based modules, and then you really feel like you're focusing more on like the pharmacy side of pharmacy, which is really nice. I think it can be a lot, but it is definitely a manageable year overall.
Yeah, I think what can make first year a bit daunting is kind of adjusting, because it is a transition period that you go through in your first year of uni. Oftentimes a lot of us are living on our own for the first time ever, or like me, moving to a brand new country. So those adjustments can be difficult, and it can make the first year experience a bit more difficult than other years, but if you kind of stick to it, find community around you, like it, especially in a place like RCSI, like where you can bond over so many different interests, then you'll make it through. Can you work part-time while studying?
Yeah, like I know myself, I think Lorna as well, we're both working part-time in pharmacies, kind of the weekend work, and I think we're both finding it like manageable enough. It's really good, kind of like you're learning your stuff in college and then being able to apply it kind of to work over the weekend. I personally am not finding, I know some people might find it as like, oh, it's pharmacy 7 days a week all the time, but I do kind of enjoy kind of the college is more so the theory aspect and bits of practicality, whereas like being able to work in it is you're seeing the day-to-day, you're seeing what actually is going on behind the scenes. But I know as well there's a good few who are in our course as well. I know people working in restaurants part-time, people working in retail stores, so like there definitely is like kind of, you do have the capacity to work part-time if you want to.
So, what are the most relevant Leaving Cert Chemistry chapters to know before starting the course?
Yeah, so like as someone, like obviously there's the new pharmacy course, which has started like we're the second year of the new course, and as someone who sat kind of the Leaving Cert Chemistry course, kind of the key ones that I noticed like really appear throughout kind of the years of the pharmacy degree would especially be organic chemistry, especially kind of in your first year you have a full module in like the fundamentals of chemistry and a full module in like medicinal chemistry, which are all like are pretty heavy on organic chemistry. So that would be just the one kind of to keep an extra eye out for when you are studying it. But I guess as well, the likes of your stoichiometry comes in important. Obviously, calculations are very important to pharmacists, and especially throughout like the pharmacy and chemistry labs, the stoichiometry is very important to you. And then I guess as well, the last one would probably be the likes of ionic, like the bonding chapter, the chemical bonding, just because it really plays into kind of your fundamentals of chemistry in terms of obviously like your cells itself, your DNA, and as well then obviously if you're looking like salt formation of drugs or anything like that, kind of your bonding would also be a really important thing to play into it.
Yeah, and as someone who didn't do chemistry, I wouldn't like worry too much, like don't be too stressed. It's definitely like a buzzword that people hear and they get all like, oh my god. And I was so guilty of that for like a lot of first year. I was like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on at all. It does click, it takes time, it's like quite different to like other sciences, but like I wouldn't worry, like you start from the very beginning and you have that time to kind of like lean into other students and kind of get support from them and get support from the college to like kind of get a full well-rounded kind of understanding of chemistry. So it is possible.
Do you mix with other programs like medicine? I think you can. There are many different ways to kind of meet people from outside of your program. For starters, I think in first year, when it comes to orientation and even the courses you're doing, some of them overlap, so you'll end up doing foundation chemistry or medicinal chemistry with pharmacy students, but also with like med students and ATT students, as well as clubs and SOCs. Getting involved in student life, I think, is the best way to mix with people from other programs. Also, the accommodation you're staying in. So in first year, there's a variety of different accommodations that are available to you in the city center. So if you're living in accommodation in one of the ones that RCSI kind of suggests or puts forward, the chances are you'll be living with people who are RCSI students who may not be in your program, which was the case for me. And yeah, I just think you have to be intentional about it. If you don't have to, obviously, but it is nice to kind of see these kind of also future healthcare professionals outside of a professional setting, and like know that like, yeah, at the end of the day, we're all just like students and people like.
And I guess like in an academic setting as well, kind of, I know pharmacy in first year specifically, you sit most of your lectures with the ATT cohort, and as well as that, their RCSI kind of plan a few activities throughout the year in terms of like interprofessional engagement, where like, for example, like we'd have microbiology workshops with medicine students in terms of like making a prescription, kind of making sure it's legal, and then like counseling on the medication. And then as well, like just for example, pharmacy last week had an interprofessional activity with physiotherapy, in which it was like diagnosing a frozen shoulder and kind of going about like from a physio standpoint as well as from a pharmacy standpoint of how you would kind of treat that condition in the community.
Yeah.
How many hours do you study? Let's say how many hours a week do you study?
God. No. I try to do like a couple of hours a day. Like it depends on the day. It really depends on the day, because I think with our schedule and just like with different things that people have going on with work, everything, sometimes you'll have days where you don't get anything done, and then other times you'll sit down and you'll just like lock in the library. So it just kind of depends. I feel like I try to aim to do like maybe like 2 hours a day would be kind of my set standard, and if I didn't get that done one day, I try like carry it over to the next.
Yeah. And I guess like as well, like obviously when you start off the semester, it's going to be that bit less. And then I like kind of the best way to go about it is as you get closer to exams, it increases bit by bit. But it definitely is manageable. Like I know there's no one who's kind of is like overwhelming themselves. It's not a full like you're 24 hours a day. You're like in the books on the computer. It is manageable. Like you can like partake in part times, like your hobbies aside from that, and like the student life as well. Like you have multiple, like you have the time to kind of not constantly be studying.
Yeah. Where are you planning to go after graduation? Okay, yeah, I can start. Since I'm the closest to graduation, I might as well start off. I am currently doing my 5th year placement in hospital pharmacy, and I feel very confident that this is a field that I want to continue working in. Hospital pharmacy is quite interesting because there's a lot of roles that you might not really think of. So yes, you can work in the dispensary, like in the actual hospital pharmacy, but you could also kind of specialize and be a clinical pharmacist on the ward. You could be the antimicrobial pharmacist. And then as you even climb up the leadership totem pole, there are other positions, management positions in terms of like medication safety, regulation. So there's a lot of roles there. I feel like right now I'm leaning towards like the clinical pharmacist role, but I'm not sure. I do definitely see myself working in hospital. And I guess the best thing about pharmacy is that the skills you learn are really transferable. Honestly, there's so many jobs in pharmacy, but let's say I wanted to leave pharmacy completely, I could definitely take my skills somewhere else and they would be just as applicable.
Yeah, I guess like obviously the year 2s we're that bit further out from graduation, but I think like we're starting to kind of like focus in on what we could potentially want to do in the future. I know like for myself, definitely I'm starting to get more interested in terms of like the research and academia, but also like recently we've had a few guest lectures in kind of teaching us kind of the more niche aspects of what you can really get into with the pharmacy degree. So like we like us like being a sports pharmacist working for the Olympics, or even like a military pharmacist to work for the Irish Army. There's just so many pathways you can go down, and kind of you don't need to know the day you come in, and kind of the college really help guide you along the path of like where you want to end up.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how people's kind of minds change as we go along. Like in first year, I remember they asked us, they were like, where do you think like you'll end up, like put your hands up, and like I think, you know, it was a weird definitely split of like community hospital, and then like no one really knew what to say for like research and like the kind of more like niche areas in pharmacy. I think for me, I'm probably leaning towards somewhere like hospital, or like maybe like regulatory. just because they're like very unknown areas to us at this point in second year. So it will be interesting to kind of see where we end up on our placements and kind of like what perspective that will give us.
Yeah. Again, it's definitely not something that you need to decide on the first day. There's so many opportunities to kind of reassess and think about like what future do I actually want and what field can provide that for me the best. I guess a follow-up question is, do you have many options for what area you would like to work in? So kind of what I was saying before, especially for hospital pharmacy, especially there are so many different roles. And so I do see a lot of options, and that does make me feel a bit better about like not having a definite choice yet.
Yeah. 100%. I think even like tying in like other interests that you have, like between like research and academics and everything like that, like there's a whole world of things going on, like even from like the, you know, like lifestyle side of things, or like we did like an elective this year where we all chose different kind of things that we were doing, and some people were doing like a lifestyle medicine, I was doing like an environmental module. Like you can really just get into a whole kind of like host of different things that could like lead you to your future career.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to 6 years wanting to do pharmacy?
Oh, there's so much.
Prepare yourself. No. If you are in secondary school and it's your final year and you're about to go into pharmacy, if I had one piece of advice, I'd say don't doubt yourself. It can seem, I feel like not even just pharmacy, but a lot of these kind of healthcare degrees, medicine, physiotherapy, nursing, dentistry, they can seem very overwhelming. You could feel as if you're not fit for it, but I think the beauty of a school like RCSI is that you see so many different types of personalities and so many different types of people who are going to be your future doctors, your future pharmacists, your future nurses. And it kind of makes you realize that there's not one perfect type of personality or kind of person you have to be to thrive as one of these professionals. So if you don't feel like you're super type A, like very strict schedule, studying all the time, overachieving, that does not mean that you won't succeed here and that you won't do well here and that you can't be an amazing pharmacist. So just keep that in mind when you're considering whether you want to do this degree or not.
I think that's like the perfect
answer. Really?
That's like everything. Yeah,
nice.
That's like all the things.
I mean, wisdom from a 5th year student. I was you once. I was you once.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to hear more from us, you can definitely follow the Instagram, all the social medias. If you want to chat to more student ambassadors, there is a really great platform called UniBuddy where you can ask all your questions, especially for like specific degrees. If you want to talk to a pharmacy student ambassador, you can talk to them there. And yeah, please like the video if you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
Bye.